Hi everyone, my name is Pamela Valpey and I am going to explain the Paparazzi Accessories compensation plan to you today. So the first thing I'm going to start with is this here is what we call PV. So for every piece that you buy of jewelry now equals to 2 PV. That's for each piece equals 2 PV. The next thing is, as a consultant, to become active, you need to have 50 PV, which is 25 pieces. You buy 25 pieces of jewelry in 1 month, you now become active. The nice part about being active is it puts you on Paparazzi's website. So in the search box, so that people, if they're looking for a consultant, will be able to search through and your name will be on there. The next thing is the 25 pieces. You want to make sure that you are active and get 25 pieces so that you do get on that list. Now, when you become active, there are a lot of people that like to start team building. Your business is taking off, you're doing really great, you have met people that are interested in joining with you. So you start out, you get a first person signs up with you. There's one here. Well, now once someone joins underneath you and you make sure that you're active in that month, you now will start making 5% commission on everything that this person buys. Now things are going really good. You want to now you're going to add a second person to your team. You now have 2 people on your team. You still make 5% commission because you have 2 people that are under you. Let's say one of your people recruits somebody else. So now you have another level down. You still have 2, you're still making 5% here, and then you begin to make 5% on this next level here. So on the 2 different levels, you're at 5%. Now everything's going really well. You have more people that want to join. You now have added a third person. These are your personally sponsored people. This first row here is your personally sponsored team, the very first row. Now, when you get 3 people in the same month, make sure in this month that you are active is important too. You now become director. In this month, you will now hit director because you have 1, 2, 3 people that are personally sponsored under you. You now will start making 10% on this down line. So you will have 3 underneath you and still make 10%. Now I'll say, this team here wants to add some more people. Let's see, your person here recruited another one. And then this second leg has now recruited a couple people of their own. This is guys and girls that do join Paparazzi and recruit. So now you have 3 legs underneath you. You've got your personally sponsored recruits here, and in this level has recruited 2 people here. This now gives you an additional 5%. So you get 10% on the first, 5% on the second, and then you also get an additional 5% on the third. Now there is another level that you can hit, which is called Premier Director. Now, Premier Director is the next level after hitting Director. You still want to make sure that you're still active and buying at least 50 PV, which is 25 pieces a month. Now, when you become Premier Director, you now need to make sure that your overall volume is going to be 3,000. You have to have a minimum of 3,000 for your overall volume. So what that means is that each person here on the first row, you're personally sponsored, needs to each have 1,000 PV. So for each person, as long as your 3 here has 1, 2, 3,000 all together, that now brings you to Premier Director. Always make sure that you're active and that your team volume is at least 3,000 PV. And it's always based off of your personally sponsored. Still make the 10% here, 5% on the second, and still 5% on the third. Now let's say your team is growing, it's really taken off. Now you're gonna add 2 more people to your team. So you've got 1, 2, 3. So now you've got 5 people on your team. So each one of them is gonna order 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. And then your others are gonna have 500 here and 500 here. So now you've got 1, 2, 3. Now you've got 4,000 PV. Then you're going to, this 10% over here, you now have 4,000. In order to hit the next level, you would want their volume numbers to increase, because on the next level is the Executive Director. When you hit Executive Director, your overall volume now has to be 6,000 PV. Now here you've only got 3, you've got 4,000. You need to have some more team members. You also, your personal volume needs to be 100. It's no longer active with 50. It now becomes active with 100 PV, which now, when you hit Executive Director, you need to be ordering 50 PV to be sure that you're active. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Now you need those people to bring your volume up. So we're gonna add 2,000 here. You're gonna add 2,000 here and another 2,000 here. And then your team is doing so well, you're gonna add another team member here, and they're gonna have 500. So here you've got 1, 2, 3,000, 5,000, 7,000. You've got 7,500. Well, you have to make sure that you hit 6,000. This is where the 1/3 rule comes in. The 1/3 is that of your personally sponsored, not one person can have more than 1/3 of the volume that you need. So one person cannot have more than 2,000 PV towards the 6,000 for your organizational volume. So that would be 6,000. So you've got 2 here that are 2,000 and 2,000, and then these here 3 have 1,000, and the last one is 500. So that would give you, so you can use 1, 2, 3, and then you can use also, these 2 can count, because 1/3 of 6,000 is 2,000. So your 2 team members here that both each have 2,000, 1,000, and 1,000. So that here equals the 6,000 plus your personal 100 PV for yourself in order to have Executive Director pay for that month. If for any of the months that you are not active, then you would still be an Executive Director, but you would not get the full amount that you would get at this level. If you're not active, everything here, you will only get 5% instead of the 10% across here. So definitely a good thing to make sure you're active as you go up each level. Also, when you hit Executive Director, you now also get an additional 1%. And the 1% is your entire team. All of your legs are all included. you get an additional 1%, which is a bonus on top of reaching the executive director. And then the last level that I'm going to show you today now is producer. Producer, you now have to make sure that your overall volume is, for your personally pieces still has to continue to be 100. So you have to order 50 pieces still in a month to be active. You now have to sell 12,000. Now you need 12,000 in your organizational volume, which is still your personally sponsored here. So this one here, you've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7,500. Now, you're going to move this over, and then you're going to add a couple of more team members. So your team is just getting really, really big. You're adding some more people. So then you're going to add, you're going to have somebody here, 500, another 500 here, and then you're going to have another person over here at the end, giving you another 3,000 in volume. So now here you have 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 1150. 1150, you want to try to have one of your other people be able to get their volumes up for these numbers here, because you're now 500 PV away from hitting the 12,000 that you need for when you have hit producer. In order to hit producer, you have to have the 100 PV, your personal volume, along with the 12,000 overall volume, which is this first line here if you are personally sponsored. So you would need one of your people to add, you would need to have another 1,000 PV here. So once your whole personally sponsored here hits the 12,000 PV for your overall volume on your personally sponsored, you now have become producer. And the other benefit of becoming producer is now you also are going to add a 3% generational bonus. So on top of the 10% here for your first downline, 5% for the second, and 5% for the next, you're additionally going to get another 3% bonus. And that is 3% of all of your legs put together. Their entire PV, all included, you will get 3% of that on top of the 10% that you get, and the 5 and the 5. I know this is kind of a little confusing. Hopefully I didn't go too fast explaining. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You can send me an email at Pamela's $5gems@yahoo.com, and please feel free to ask me any questions. You also can head over to my informational website, which is www.pamelas5gems.com, where you can find more information as well about this compensation plan, and gives you more information about the levels as they continue after producer. Well, thank you all for joining. Have a great day.